Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. We got a great show lined up for you today, but before we talk about that, let's talk about what we did on Friday and Saturday, by the way. I'll get to that in just a second. All right, it's another winning recap screen. I think we're at 6 or 7 or 8 in a row. I know we had winning days every single day last week. This is only 4, 3, and 1. Not a huge day by any means, but certainly a winning day nonetheless. We took over. We hit our golf pick, but Keegan Bradley T30 minus 125. That was from earlier in the week. That one cashed quite easily. But I do need to mention Gipper's Picks is in the chat. If you remember, he, Josh Nagel, Danny Brasco did a UFC show. They went 7-2-1 on their picks. And if memory serves, there was a lot of plus money plays there as well. He's in the chat. He says, everyone, UFC picks were fire Saturday night. They certainly were. So if you followed that show, if you followed those picks, you had a really, really nice weekend, even with our Friday 4-3-1. You went 7-2-1 in UFC. Don't forget the MLB future shows. There's 2 of them. They're in your feed. All right, let's bring in the stars of the show, which of course include all of you. Grey Goose Hayes, CLE fan. Joseph Rackett is in the chat. We've got a lot of picks from Mr. Buck. He says Arkansas State money line, Portland first half +8 from KC3. A lot more picks to get to, but we got PropStarz, we got buckets, we got Mackenzie Brooks, and we can't start with picks because I have to get some level of reaction with respect to all of the NFL news we heard, particularly in the last 24 hours. PropStarz, I'm going to start with you. What's the first thing that comes to mind? There were a lot of big names that went to different teams, a lot of big names still to go. What's your initial reaction to the last 24 hours?
Yeah, no shortage of compelling storylines. The quarterback carousel has officially started. The Giants made a massive splash in free agency, signing a punter to a $10 million guaranteed contract.
Huge.
Other than that, we look at the Buffalo Bills. I really like what they've done in free agency. So far, getting rid of Von Miller, obviously in the twilight of his career, re-signing Greg Rousseau, who's one of the most underrated edge rushers in the NFL, just locked Josh Allen into a 6-year contract. So certainly like what Buffalo has done thus far. Myles Garrett getting signed to a historic contract as well, well-deserved for the future Hall of Famer. Selfishly, I was hoping that my Eagles would make a move trying to acquire his services, albeit unlikely. But yeah, just some very interesting moves so far. I can expect that to be the case as we continue over the next couple of days as well.
Mackenzie, before we get to your reaction, a couple NFL Titans in the chat. Mike McClure is in there. Larry Hartstein is in there. And I want to give a shout out to some of you, some names that aren't as familiar to me. Elizio Rodriguez says Madison Keys 2-0 sets. Maybe Mike McClure has something to say about that. A lot of picks in the chat this morning. Mackenzie, your reaction to the last 24 hours in the NFL, or maybe the last 48 hours in the NFL.
Yeah, well, I mean, in regard to the Eagles, like Proppy was mentioning, like I don't know where Howie's getting all this money, like Zach Bond and just Saquon re-signing and all these guys. It's like he amazes me every day. It is basically where I'll go with him in the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't want to have a lame answer, but definitely want to wait until some other major moves will really start to happen before we start overanalyzing teams and the trades that we got. I love DK to Pitt. I think it's very hard to stop them. You talk about Geno going to Vegas. You know, it's obviously an improvement, but it's always tough when you're in division with 3 other playoff teams to move up so much more. So, again, definitely still a lot more moves to be made. So interested to see where everything goes.
Go ahead, PropStarz.
I really like what your Commanders, I know we touched on Debo the last time I was on, but yeah, if the Commanders can somehow acquire the services of, say, a Trey Hendrickson, really like what the Commanders have done. I think they're going to be aggressive in free agency, kind of putting the weapons around Jaden Daniels, who I think will be a top 5 MVP caliber quarterback this upcoming season. And yeah, I think the Commanders are definitely in good shape.
A lot of news still to break. Obviously, Sam Darnold situation. We didn't even talk about Devontae Adams. I do think it makes the Rams super intriguing as well. We're going to be breaking down more NFL during the network show at 12 o'clock. If you want to tune into CBS Sports Network, Mackenzie will be on that one. We'll be talking a lot of NFL, but a lot of basketball as well. All right. Let's finally buckets. I did want to get your reaction to the NFL just to see where you stand on, for example, George Pickens and let's see, DK Metcalf being on the same team. That can't be great for the locker room, right, Buckets?
Sia, while you guys were talking, I Googled trade deadline news, and the first thing that come up was Miko Rantanen to the Dallas Stars. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be really big. That's a really, really good call. Good heads up. All right, well, let's transition buckets to soccer. You got a couple of picks for us today.
I do. My new theme on Monday is that I'm only going to bring you guys plus odds wagers from now on. So I'm going to give us 2 plays for the same game. It's a little bit unique, a little bit tricky, but I want to explain why I'm doing it. I'm in the La Liga clash taking place this afternoon, now an hour later because of daylight savings times, but I'm not going to complain about that, I promise. We've got Espanyol taking on Girona, and Espanyol is a bad club in a relegation battle. Sia, you know they're a bad club. I know they're a bad club.
Yep.
Kins, Larry, Mike, we all know they're a bad club. But what Espanyol does really, really well, it's they get their wins and they play good at home and then get demolished at the road. This team has 7 wins this season. 6 of the 7 wins came when playing in a home fixture. They have scored in 9 of their last 10 home games. This is a team that when they're at home, we bet on them. When they're on the road, we fade them. I'm taking Espanyol to score in the first half at plus 150, and I'm taking Espanyol to score in the second half, Sia, at plus 110. Girona had a really, really good start to the season, but their defensive woes, their injuries, and their fatigue has been massive. Espanyol at home have scored 2 or more goals now in 4 of their last 8 home fixtures. It is something that they are definitely capable of doing, but as long as they get at least 1 goal in this matchup, we find profit no matter what. Something, again, they've done in 90% of their last 10 home games here. I love Espanyol. Maybe not to win this match, but maybe get a goal or 2 in the process.
All right. I love this. If we hit one of these, we make money, obviously. We got a plus 110 and a plus 150. Brian M says, Buckets Classic, talking football and bringing up hockey. Espanyol from Gen M says, looks like a terrible American spelling of a foreign word. It does.
I will get my bias out of the way with Espanyol. They are a team that does a lot of stuff with, like, the athletes will always walk out with dogs that are up for adoption at a bunch of their home games. So I've got a little bit of a bias for this club, but as long as they score, I mean, that's what we care about today.
Quick question from Jeff Stenberg. He says, Buckets, do we like Newcastle team total over 1.5 at even money? This line feels softer. Oh, geez. Then
that's something I can't.
Yeah, let's not go to the injury stuff. But go ahead. What do you think about the over 1.5 at even money?
I hope Garrett Cole's elbow. I hope he's okay. I'm not a huge fan of it just because it's Newcastle on the road. If they were at home, I'd take them to score 4 against West Ham. But these are 2 teams I can confidently say I have not read correctly all season. So I will tell you, Jeff, but I will not give my own opinion on that because it's going to be wrong with this Newcastle side.
All right. Goose looks very comfortable, PropStarz. If you're watching us on YouTube, this cat is just in his prime position right now. And Mackenzie, you're about to give out some picks, but you're going to be in prime position on Thursday and Friday with Chip Patterson at 3:30. We're sweating conference tournament games live next Thursday. We talked about this Friday with Chip Patterson. We're sweating these live next Thursday and Friday. Watch live on the SportsLine YouTube page as Mackenzie Brooks, Chip Patterson, and a ton of other surprise guests sweat out their conference tournament bets on stream and talk about your live bets in the chat. It all starts Thursday next week, or that's really this week, 3:30 Eastern time, only on the SportsLine YouTube page. Mackenzie Brooks, before you give out your picks, your reaction and what can we expect at 3:30 on Thursday?
I mean, you're putting the 2 personality hires of the company in one room together for 2 hours.
Ouch.
Live.
Hi, I'm standing right here.
You know, you bring a little more to the table, Sia. You got a lot going on. Okay, that's a compliment, not to put you in that category with the 2 of us, but no, it's gonna be super fun, gambling cave type energy. We're gonna put the live chat bets on the board. We want to make some parlays with the chat. At first time go at this, so I really hope it goes well. I hope everyone comes along to watch and contribute and give us your bets as well. And it'll be a very fun collaborative effort from the whole team.
Yeah, surprise guests have me intrigued as well. Listen, this is why we tell you to turn your notifications on, because this is not a regularly scheduled show, but we're going to talk about it throughout the week. We talked about it on Friday. So now you know Thursday and Friday, tune in on the SportsLine YouTube page at 3:30, but also make sure you're subscribed to this page, and you might, especially now, especially with March Madness coming up and some MLB shows that you're not going to want to miss, you might really want to turn your notifications on if they're not already. So Mackenzie, very much looking forward to that. But in the right here, right now, I'm looking forward to a couple of NBA picks. What you got?
Oh, sorry, I was in the chat. It was like Club 10's about to be a movie.
What you got?
All right, we're going to the NBA. We got 2 props, as you just mentioned. Now we're going along with a theme here, not plus money the way Buckets was, but we're going with guys whose lines are low because they get themselves in foul trouble sometimes. We're going to start with Alex Sarr here to go over his PRA of 23.5. And again, this is a guy that in his early rookie days was, 20 minutes in the game, he had like 3-4 personal fouls. And it seems like there's been a very conscious effort of his last 11 of his last 14 games. He's gone under 3 personal fouls. Okay. So when he's playing and when he's on the court long enough, this is a number that he should just be getting over in general. He's gone comfortably over this in 3 of his last 5. And you also have Toronto, who won't have Podol here, and their backup also, I'm pretty sure, won't be out or is a game time decision. So it just gives Sarr more room to produce stats, produce rebounds, not worrying about fouling out against starting center. So I just think this is a good around even money spot. Now, a lot of books are starting to steam this up to 24.5. So I definitely get on this now before it gets any higher there. And then we're going back to the well here with LaMelo Ball over 11.5 rebounds and assists. Again, I gave this out last week. He went soaring over this number against Minnesota. I think he had 16 and then he fouled out. And then he was on pace to go over it against Cleveland, but then fouled out before he got to the 12. So again, for him, I have to imagine coaches are getting in his ear, like maybe don't foul out all the time. And he is averaging around 12 rebounds and assists in general. He's 4-0 to this over against Miami the last 2 seasons specifically. So again, I think he owes us, and I have to imagine we are not getting 3 games in a row fouling out.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Oh, there goes PropStarz and Goose. That's funny because Eric David says Proppy is like Dr. Evil petting Bigglesworth. I didn't even really know the Bigglesworth was the name of the pet there, but your reaction, PropStarz. Are you Dr. Evil and is Goose Bigglesworth?
Absolutely. I'm on some Dr. Evil energy here for sure. Goose as well. We're a dynamic evil duo, so appropriate comparison.
Joe Neuenfeld says, first I've ever heard of Alex Sarr. I mean, the number 2 pick in the draft, Joe. By the way, I met
It's a tough draft year.
Yeah, fair enough. I met Alex Sarr's brother. I didn't play basketball with him. I played basketball alongside him. Really nice guy. He's a professional basketball player too in the NBA, but believe tore his Achilles, maybe ruptured his Achilles last year, so he's rehabbing from that. Incredibly nice guy, incredibly nice family. So shout out to the Sarrs and shout out to Ben for getting that Dr. Evil picture up there. Make sure you hit the like button, by the way. We got a couple of SportsLine picks. Speaking of sweating college basketball at 3:30 on Thursday and Friday with Mackenzie Brooks and Chip Patterson and others. We've got a Tom Casale pick tonight. Furman money line -138. I looked before the show. You can still find this money line actually maybe even at a better price, like in the -135 range. So Tom Casale on Furman money line -138. And then we've got Jason LaConfora. He's going with an over. Gonzaga, San Fran. This is later tonight. I think it's the latest college basketball game of the night, around 10 o'clock or so. Over 155.5. Again, we've got Furman money line and Gonzaga, or I should say, excuse me, Joe Neuenfeld. Gonzaga and San Fran over 155.5 at -110. If you want to make these picks, I got a great idea. Go to BetMGM. We still got the BetMGM plus the SportsLine free subscription promotion. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, sign up now and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM, plus a 1-year free subscription to SportsLine with bonus code SportsLine1500. Get exclusive members-only picks for all major sports from proven models and 40-plus Vegas experts, plus predictive tools for pick'em, brackets, player stats, and more. Get this offer in 4 easy steps. Download the BetMGM Sports app and register an account using bonus code SportsLine1500. Make your first deposit at least $10. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. Claim your free 1-year subscription to SportsLine in your BetMGM inbox. Very, very good promotion. And we've got some very good picks to go, particularly from PropStarz, right after this message from our partners.
Dive into the biggest moments from the big dance with NCAA March Madness Bracket Breakdown, Sunday on CBS Sports Network.
We are back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. As I scan the chat, this is interesting. Mark Culp asks, PropStarz, what do you think of Alperen Sengun over 1 block? Any thoughts there?
Nothing I'm rushing out to get. I think blocks are a highly volatile category. I would lean over on it. That being said, if the minutes are there, you should probably get a block. But yeah, I think it's kind of volatile.
And then we've got Proppy. Are we riding the Najee Marshall train?
I do love me some Najee Marshall. He's been absolutely phenomenal, culminating in that massive game yesterday. This guy's like a walking triple-double threat all of a sudden, as well as scoring 30 points. So love Najee Marshall. I figured this would happen, not to this extent, but yeah, I think he's going to continue to perform very well.
Mackenzie, go ahead, Mackenzie. Yeah.
I forget who asked about the block prop. If someone's specifically itching for a block, Derek White could be a pretty good value. I'm not 100% sure of the price, but I do know that the Utah Jazz are one of the most blocked teams in the league. And without Porzingis, maybe everyone's just getting a little more of the block party. And he has a very oddly unique skill of blocking guards.
That is interesting. I wouldn't have gone to Derek White there, but I didn't know that about Derek White. So that's good. It's good stuff. Japan says Ben Shelton money line -130. Capper Taylor says good to be able to tap in live again. Love the no daylight savings in Arizona.
How does Arizona pull that off?
I don't know, but like they're doing it right. Like, why are we doing? Do we all agree? Hand up. Like, why are we doing daylight savings? Like, I get it. Like maybe like 200 years ago, I think it might have made sense. Like some sort of farmer thing. Everybody in the chat, does anybody like daylight savings? Can we start a petition or something? Buckets, what do you think?
Oh, I hate it, man. It's absolutely terrible. I slept through a show yesterday because I forgot to change. Like I woke up and none of my stuff changed. We've talked about this last time there was daylight savings. I use my stove clock as my thing to keep an eye on, and it has hurt me more than once.
PropStarz, your reaction to daylight savings time?
I noticed that hour was missing before I actually knew it was daylight savings. I was up burning the midnight oil, working on putting out picks, and then I was like, man, it's just I can't believe it's 4 or 5 a.m. already. And then lo and behold, I researched it, and it was in fact daylight savings.
We got a couple of really funny comments. One from Mike McClory says, I love daylight savings time. It's like betting an under. That is classic from Mike McClure. Let's see. Jason Pogba says, love it. We got to gamble an hour sooner yesterday. And Mark Gillett says, EK likes it. And I think the question for Mark Gillett and everybody, does EK even know it's daylight savings time? He might be so delayed that he's actually back on normal time. Larry Hartstein says, if you have young kids and want them to sleep till 7, you like daylight savings time. All right, fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a pick today before we get to you, PropStarz, but I'm just getting you a sneak peek on what my pick is likely to be tomorrow. So the Players Championship, by the way, if you follow my content, Carl Phillips plus 7,000, 70-1. You hit that. And when I say if you follow my content, I literally put it everywhere. I put it on the Early Wedge Monday show, the Early Wedge Tuesday show. We talked about it on the Early Wedge Wednesday show. I also tweeted it out, and I also put it in the SportsLine Discord. You literally could not have missed that if you follow my content in any way whatsoever. We hit that, and we also hit all of our 3 out of 4 plays from the API. We hit both finishing position bets, both top 30s on Keegan and Michael Kim. And then we lost the plus 360 on Nick Taylor, but we hit our matchup Shane Lowry over Sung J M. I'm going to go back to Michael Kim in the T30 market. The only market that's available right now is T20. I don't hate the number. It's around plus 360, plus 330. That's a great number on Michael Kim, who's just been a top 5 machine for a majority of this year. But I'd rather play it a little safer with likely a plus number with Michael Kim in the top 30 market at the Players, because it wouldn't surprise me if he cools off just a little bit here. With that said, that market's not out yet. It'll be out by tomorrow morning. So likely I'm going to give you a Michael Kim pick, maybe another pick as well tomorrow morning on the Early Edge. But I don't want to force a top 20 just because that's the only market that's out. So I'm just going to wait, be a little patient, and I might have it tonight on the DFS show on the Early Wedge at 7 o'clock. It'll be me, Mike McClure, Rick Gaiman. Maybe that market's out by then, and I can just give it out then and on the Early Edge tomorrow. All right, let's go to PropStarz. We got more NBA. What you got, Proppy?
We do indeed, Sia. Did you say that was a 70-1 call?
70-1. Carl Phillips.
Well done.
PGA alternate event. It wasn't even in the main event. It was in the alternate event. And for those of you, thank you. For those of you that follow my content, not just this week, but in general, you know, at these alternate events, and we've talked about this in the SportsLine Discord, that's really where I shine. And that's really where a lot of the value is, in my opinion, particularly with the outright market. I've smashed in that market over the last 6-7 months. And we did it again. Carl Phillips at 70-1. Good stuff.
Kudos to you, Sia. That is an awesome hit. Yeah, very appropriate sound. So, yeah, we're going to go to the association, the same game that Mackenzie's LaMelo Ball prop is in. And I'm going to fade one of his teammates, Miles Bridges, going under 24.5 points for Miles Bridges. This is just a huge number for Miles Bridges. Averages 20.9 points per game. That number dwindles down to 20.4 points per game when LaMelo Ball, who is a usage monster, is also active and in the lineup, which he clearly is in this scenario. He's facing Miami. We like fading a lot of guys when they have inflated numbers versus Miami. They play at a slow pace. They're above average defensively as well. Also, Miles has some pretty stark road versus home splits. He's really performed poorly on the road, shooting just 41%. This is also their third game in 4 nights. I think there's a lot of good reasons to fade what is just an awfully high number for Miles Bridges. So we will go under 24.5 points. I'd play it for a half unit at 23.5 points if you don't have that available to you. Also wanted to mention I will be live in the Discord today at 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 Pacific. Come hang out with me. Let's chop it up. We'll talk about NBA, NFL free agency, and whatever else your heart desires.
I love that. And you beat Ramo to the punch here in saying that you'd play this at 23.5 for, I think you said a half a unit, because Ramo says, how low would you go on Miles Bridges? Certainly you don't think this will get down to 22.5, do you?
Wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
Okay.
I think this was definitely like 2 ticks too high. I think that's what the line should be, is 22.5.
All right, Jeff Stenberg says that Henley Eagle was great too, plus 325 cash. That's from our early wedge live sweat that we did yesterday that we do every Sunday at 1 o'clock. You're going to want to tune into that. Jeff, that was a really good cash. Russell Henley winning that tournament, kind of chipped and fell and won that tournament, pun intended. That was interesting. All right, let's go to a couple of chat observations here. CLE fan. Mackenzie, I'm going to go to you and then PropStarz. Any thoughts on Vucevic? Is it Vucevic or Vukovic? Under 30.5 points in rebounds at minus 135. Does anybody have an opinion on that?
Not a current one. I can in the next few minutes.
I do. It is his first game back, if I'm not mistaken, from a pretty lengthy absence here. I expect his usage to remain pretty consistent. He wasn't playing heavy minutes prior to the injury, so I don't expect a real downtick. So it's not necessarily a spot I'm looking to fade him, because I don't expect him to play 35 minutes. I think it's more likely he plays like 25 to 28 minutes in this spot, and that's in line with his usage rate. So for me, it's personally a stay away.
Anything from you, Mackenzie?
I was just looking at what we have value in that game, and we have Josh Giddey over 16.5 rebounds and assists, with the thought of if he is back, then that would be more assists for Giddey in that time. And honestly, if he's limited, then that's just more rebounds for him too. So just looking at some of his teammates to be an effect of this.
Wait, so that was 16.5 rebounds and assists for Giddey?
Yeah.
It seems high to me, but maybe, listen, I'm not the model. I don't know. I know PropStarz, you like to fade Giddey's points quite a bit, correct?
I do indeed. A bit unsuccessfully lately. I do believe that Giddey is a massive regression candidate, especially when it comes to his shooting splits. He is not a good three-point shooter, 32% from his career, shooting above 50% since the All-Star break. I think it's only a matter of time until his scoring plummets.
Colin Ward says the Ken's research face is intense. Love it. LOL. I love that as well. A lot of really good comments here. I guess we should probably wrap. Buckets. Anything soccer-wise that we need to address before we get out of here?
Cough, cough. Lazio, both teams to score. Cough, cough. Lazio over 1.5 team total if you want 2 more leans for Serie A. Both at minus 120.
And all right, we got some more picks. Mackenzie, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm going to get a bunch of picks up on SportsLine today after this show for the later games. A lot of props. This just feels like a good time for the prop market right now, while we still got some eyes on college basketball.
All right, Brian Smith says Oakland plus 3.5. All right, let's take a look at the recap screen. We've got picks from these three. We've got SportsLine picks. We're going to start with what seems like an awkwardly spelled Espanyol to score in the first half at plus 150 and Espanyol to score in the second half at plus 110. They are playing against my Girona. Alex Sarr over 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That's from Mackenzie Brooks, and it's minus 105. And LaMelo Ball over 11.5 rebounds and assists at minus 125. Miles Bridges under 24.5 points from PropStarz. That's minus 120. He said for a half a unit, he'd play that at 23.5 if that's where you can find it. Furman money line from Tom Casale, that's minus 138. You might even be able to find it at minus 135. And Gonzaga San Fran over 155.5. That's courtesy of Jason LaConfora, and it's minus 110. I got a well done, Sia, from Eric David for referencing a song from 1979. I only know that because I looked it up before the show, not because I listened to it in 1979. So everybody relax out there. Buckets. Enjoyed all of the content. Mackenzie, PropStarz, Goose, Ben, Absolutely love it on a Monday. Let's have another winning day. No pressure, folks, but we're on like a streak here. Like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 in a row. I got to go back and check. I got to go with Ben and check at least 6 in a row. Let's try to make it 7. On behalf of these 3 and Ben and Goose and all of you, Mr. Big, Eric David, Joe Neuenfeld, KC3, thanks for being in here. Thanks for hitting the like button. And thanks for participating in the chat. We'll see you later on SportsLine. Again, turn your notifications on, but you'll see me next on CBS Sports Network at 12, but also on the early wedge at 7 with Mike McClure and Rick Gaiman. That's going to be a great show where we talk DFS for the players, but also kind of reference some betting advice as well. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great Monday. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.